Hi everyone, and welcome along to the video lesson for the potential impact of social factors on the PDP. So we'll get right into it. Success for this video lesson would be for you to be able to identify different social factors and explain. So we'll look a lot at that command word explain, how social factors can impact on the performance development process. So a quick reminder, and I will reiterate this throughout the video lesson. This is all about how social factors can impact you whilst training. So on the performance development process. Okay, starter task. What I'd like you to do is pick out the social sub-factors and write them down. So pause the video now and pick out the social sub-factors. Hopefully you've managed to do that. So there were only 5 social sub-factors listed there. At this point, it's important for me to say that you may not have come across all of these in your lessons at school, and you may not cover them at all, but it's really good to have a rounded knowledge of the different factors across the 4 factors. So there's no harm in understanding what these are about, allowing you to use these in your answers. So I'm going to give you a quick definition of all of these sub-factors, and then I'd like you to give an example of these social factors in a sporting context. So I'm only looking for 1 sentence. Okay, so gender issues, maybe issues between boys and girls when playing a mixed team sport. Etiquette, they're basically your unwritten rules in a sport. Team dynamics is a team or a group working together to succeed with a common goal. Roles and responsibilities is playing a position in your team and what you've got to do to successfully carry out that position. And communication can be verbal or non-verbal. Okay, pause the video now and try and answer the question. Okay, hopefully you've managed to come up with something similar to my solutions here. And if you weren't sure on any of them, please have a read through this to make sure you have an understanding of what these 5 social sub-factors are. Okay, as I said at the beginning, we're going to look a lot at the command word explain during this video lesson. And the easiest way to answer a question like this is to break it down into 3 headings. So the structure we're going to use today is factor, context, and impact. So within the factor heading, you need to identify what that factor is, whether it has a positive or negative effect during the PDP. That last bit is vital. Make sure you say during the PDP, because that will mean that you're going to focus on that for the rest of your answer. The context, that could be an example or a situation that occurs, and the impact is the meaning. What does that mean for you throughout it? As a result of this means. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is read the following extract and split it up using the information in the slide previous into factor, context, and impact. You may choose to rewrite this. You may choose just to do it in your head, and then you can see if you've got that right. So pause it now and split it up into factor, context, and impact. All right. Hopefully you've managed to do that. So if we just break this down into the structure that we're looking for, the factor is communication. I've said it's going to positively impact my PDP. The context, my situation, where communication is going to positively impact me was during a gradual build-up training program for my layup. And the impact means that I'm going to take on that feedback, allowing me to improve at a quicker rate and stay positive, really. So what I'd like you to do here, still focusing on the command word of explain, is check this paragraph and turn it into a 1-mark answer. So things to look out for. I want you to split it up into factor, context, and impact. I want you to make sure that it's got the same sub-factor running throughout the answer. And make sure that we've got all the parts of the factor, context, and impact that we mentioned in the previous slides. So if you pause it now and give that a go in your jotter or on a piece of paper. All right, hopefully you've managed that. So, having read through it, you may have noticed that it started off talking about team dynamics and then changed to etiquette. So we needed to change that first word, team dynamics into etiquette. So etiquette has a positive, because I didn't specify whether it was a positive or negative effect. Impact during conditioned games in football. So that's me saying that that's during my performance development process. The context and impact were actually okay, and that is now turned into a 1-mark model answer. Okay, so let's take this into real life. Let's have a look at how the social factor can have an impact on your PDP. We're going to watch a wee video. What's really important here is that you watch the video and listen to what I'm saying as well. That will all be really important to allow you to answer the 3 questions. So the video is of Paul Pogba and Jose Mourinho when he was manager at Man United. The previous night, Man United had lost on penalties to Derby County, and Pogba was filmed on his Instagram story laughing about, I think it was the last penalty miss. Teammates came out and said they were really annoyed at this, and he was told to go and train with the youth team that day. So let's watch the video. Pogba and Mourinho. And make sure you listen to what I've said there, so maybe it's worth going back and listening to that again. So there are now 3 questions or 3 parts to this task to do. Identify 3 social factors that had an impact on Pogba's training that day. For that, you may wish to look at the 4 factors table from the SQA to allow you to look at different sub-factors. Second part is justify why you think these social sub-factors had a negative impact. So it's just 1 sentence. Why might that social factor have a negative impact? And then third task is to give 1-mark answer on the following question. If you pause the video just now and give yourself a bit of time to work through these 3 tasks. Okay, hopefully you've managed to work that out. Quite a tricky question, but a really good one to apply a bit of knowledge. So here's the 3 I picked out. Relationships. So relationship with Mourinho would have been pretty poor after that. I think Pogba thought it was unjust, and Mourinho was clearly angry. And the fact that it was done on the training pitch with the media there and in front of his teammates, I don't think he was best pleased about that. Team dynamics, I mentioned that the team came out, some of his teammates came out and said that they were frustrated and angry at Pogba. And also social isolation. So social isolation, he was told to go and train with the youth team that day. Okay, so there's solutions to part 1 and part 2. You may have chosen other ones. That's not the 3 definitive or the only 3 answers you can give to that question. So our task 3 was to answer the question. So again, I split it up into factor, context and impact. And so the relationship wouldn't have been as positive. So Mourinho might have tried to give him some feedback when doing a rondo. So again, I'm highlighting that it's during the performance development process. A rondo is a circle game where you've got to try and keep the ball away from the person in the middle. And the impact means that he's losing that valuable source of feedback. So trying to give you a real life situation that happened in for a bit more understanding. Okay, we're nearly there. Well done, doing really well if you've made it to this point, especially listen to my voice. So, last question. Hopefully, you're able to put all the knowledge you built and gained from the video lesson to answer this question for 4 marks. Explain how social factors may impact upon the performance development process. So for 4 marks, we'll need 4 different factors, context, and impact. Give yourself between 10 and 15 minutes to finish this answer, and then we'll go through a couple of points to help you mark it on your own. So pause it now. Well done if you managed to get an answer written down for that. So here's what I've said. One of my model answers, I focused on an individual rather than a team, just to show that the social factor can have a negative impact when doing something on your own because you're isolated socially. So for example, when doing CRE, continuous training can be boring. The impact of is you'll lose interest and not push yourself, meaning your levels of CRE are unlikely to improve. So for you to mark this on your own, just have a wee look through this checklist. Do you have a factor, context, impact structure for each of your answers, each of your marks? Did you identify a social factor and whether it was has a positive or negative impact in the PDP? Do you have an example or situation and whether the impact of that, what the final impact of that is as well? Be honest with yourself here when you're marking it. Okay, and that is us gone through our video lesson for today. So hopefully at this stage, you're able to identify the different social factors and explain how they can impact on the performance development process. Reminder that you may have learned some new social factors today, which is brilliant. I may not have covered the ones that you go through in school in your higher class. As I said, it's really good to get a rounded knowledge of the different sub-factors. Well done. If there's anything you're unsure about, please be sure to speak to your teacher in school about it. Thank you for going.